All right, what is up, everybody? Good to be back. Uh, if you haven't noticed yet, we fixed the chat. It no longer just looks like a block of something. So for anybody that's been continually watching the streams, about I don't know, 5 streams ago, my chat just like stopped looking like how it looks right now, and it just like looked like it was taken straight from a YouTube chat and just like pasted in OBS. And it turns out to fix that, all you have to do is update OBS. So lesson learned. Uh, update your software when it comes out, and don't just hit the remind me later button over and over and over again. So lesson learned. Chat is back to looking beautiful as always. So basically we have a couple things that we want to cover today. Um, Basically, what I wanted to do, okay, is I, if I'm being 100% honest, the original topic that I wanted to bring to everybody was what are the best decks for ProQuest season, right? What are the top 5 or whatever. And if we're being 100% honest, I think that that would be a complete waste of time. I think that it wouldn't provide anybody value. I think it would provide maybe a little bit of entertainment, but it wouldn't really have any substance behind it. And the reason for that is I don't care what people say. ProQuest season and RTN specifically deviate from the norm. It's from the norm because the local meta influences your decisions so much, right? I'll give you an example. Basically, on my last tier list, I said Enigma was the best deck in the format currently, and then Dash IO would take over being the best deck in format once the Armory deck released. Okay. So if you took that statement into, ProQuest season, you'd be like, okay, play Enigma. And which is not a bad choice. But you basically, if you're running into a bunch of Aurora and you're not like a very, very skilled pilot on Enigma, you're gonna get destroyed, right? So like playing the best deck in the format could be a very bad idea. And the unique situation about ProQuest and RTN season is you know this information if you go to your local events or if you talk to people. You know what people typically play, right? Anybody in my area is going to know that they're going to have to beat a Runeblade to win first place, aka me, right? So they're going to, I don't know, maybe they might tailor their decision a little bit on like bring something that doesn't maybe auto lose into Runeblade, right? That's a little bit harder now because there's 4 of them to choose from, right? And each one kind of has its own strength and weakness. So I guess that's a benefit for me. But I just wanted to give that example of like how if anybody tells you like these are the top 5 decks to bring to ProQuest season, it's not true. It just isn't. Because people at a local level play what they want to play. And the poker light bulbs go off in my hand, and that is a way that you have the ability to exploit. If you are trying to go to these events at with the most competitive amount of posture you possibly can, right? And if you're not, that's fine as well. Like play what you want to play. I don't think I can make a stream to help you enjoy playing the hero you you want to play, right? So I am trying to you know, come at it from a competitive standpoint, right? And so when I realized that making a top 5 decks to bring to ProQuest season stream would be completely and utterly useless, I said, well, how can I help people? How can I turn on the camera and just like help people. Um, as far as what deck to possibly bring. And I basically came up with the idea that I could possibly just give an overall formatting of the meta and the different directions it can take based on localized metas. But then more importantly, kind of, help out anybody that's here in chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend about 20 to 30 minutes. That's about it. I think that's all I need to explain like just overall what's happening in the meta, what people are thinking about, how people are approaching things. And then I'm going to open it up completely to chat. Okay? And I'm going to give anybody in chat the ability to just give me the information that you have. Like, okay, I know there's a lot of Runeblade in my meta, okay? And here's another thing about the whole top 5 decks or whatever. Like, what if you don't have the cards, right? Like, what if you don't have the accessibility to the cards? What if it's a financial restraint? Whatever the case may be. That's why that idea was so bad, and I just threw it out the window. So I'm going to open up to chat and basically give you the opportunity to say, these are the decks I have access to. This is what I think the meta will be. What do you think my best choice is? And I'm going to try and basically tell you which deck, kind of maybe point you in the direction as far as like how you can tailor your sideboard. I'm not going to spend like 20 minutes per person, but I'm just going to say like, oh, you have a lot of Enigma. That means you need to start looking at putting extenders in your sideboard and give you a couple of ideas per, you know, hero that you're thinking about bringing. And just do my best to basically just try and help you out as much as possible. That is the goal. Please don't put that into chat yet. Please wait until that section. I'm going to do my broad discussion first. And then I'm just going to say, hit me with it. And I'm going to start just helping people in chat. And if you just want to hang out and listen, maybe there's some overlap between your meta and other people. You know, there's not just one area in the world where Runeblade's kind of, a lot of people play Runeblades or a lot of people play Illusionists, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of the idea and the structure of this stream. I wanted to give actionable advice and stuff that's really going to help you, not just these are the 5 strongest decks, not considering that people on a local level play what they want to play. So let me get caught up in chat. Yeah, she's flying under everyone's radar. No one's talking about her. It's wild. Yeah, nobody's talking about Briar. I wonder why. I'm just slamming Verdance for PQ. She's the most fun I've had playing the game since I first started. See, Jacob, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? And what if in your area you showed your Verdance deck to other people and they also had fun? And you just walk into it and there's like 7 Verdants at a 15-person ProQuest, right? Like, there's no, I don't care how good you are at predicting metas, there's no advice anybody could give you on a broad spectrum to help you, right? Or help people against you, I guess would be the way to put it. But that's exactly what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm trying to give very very tailored advice. Give me 1 second. Okay. Should be a lot better now. Sorry about that, chat. I do apologize. Okay. So that's the plan. That's the plan for the stream. That's what we're going to do. And yeah, let's go ahead and take it from there. Let me get caught up in chat. I think we got a new Dash.io card today. I think we actually got 2, if I'm not mistaken. The arms and the legs, if I'm not mistaken. Does anyone think it boosted further? They look like side grades. Maybe the arm is good, but the boots I think is like I guess it could be an upgrade from Achilles, right? Achilles is less situational. It doesn't Achilles doesn't have battle worn, but you just pop it and get your action point. Whereas this one, you have to use an action. So you have to you gain a block, but you have to tell them you're getting an additional action point. Whereas Achilles is it's an instant, so you just pop it after they've made the decision, or you have all the information on which you want to make your decision on, which could be worth it. I think it's going to be one of those situational swap them in and out as the meta dictates. The best deck for your PQ may possibly be Betsy or Arachne. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but yes, that's kind of the idea, right? How it's not just a one size fits all. I think Fab different. You have your meta people and people who like what they like. Game has a handful of decent decks. Sort of uncommon compared to other games. Other games just have few. I agree. I agree. Doesn't the performance of a deck also change the deck performing best in previous events? So people prepare these decks more than decks that perform worse. Yes and no. You have to look at availability of cards. How recent was the event? Like, let's say that Enigma had never topped before and it was like this new thing, right? Nobody's going to pick that deck up and learn it in nobody's going to kind of, pick up that deck and learn it and get all the cards in a week and play it at ProQuest, right? It's going to be very difficult. But if something's been on the horizon for a while and maybe people have already acquired the cards, then it's a lot easier. So that's something that you do have to put into it at the local level. So let's go and get into it. Let's go and talk about it on what we think are the best decks, and then we will kind of, you know, we'll kind of go from there. Because I think that's going to be the basis point, right? And then we'll have to take what is considered the best decks from a viewpoint and go from there, and then tailor it based on the local meta is the strategy that I like to employ. So, to nobody's surprise, including myself, I said Enigma was the best deck in the format and it won the calling. Who knew? And it's a good deck. And I can't tell you how many times I had people saying there's no way that Enigma is the best deck in the format if there's all these rune blades running around. And it happened. It happened. You have to when you get a very high level Enigma player, it's very dangerous if you play a deck that can slip up at all, like at all. And that's kind of something that's very hard to factor in if you have not played against a very, very high level. I would just say illusionist player in general. You can get this false sense of security where you think that something's a really good matchup until you play into that really high level illusionist, and they kind of teach you that that's not the case. Now, is it as bad as they typically make it out? It's usually not. They usually like to exaggerate things because they also get the other side of it. They get all these free games that they don't even have to try for because people just don't understand what's happening. And yeah, they get, a little bit of a big head about it. And so Enigma is performing really well, even in an environment that is overran with rune blades. And I think that basically stems from the whole, you know, rune blades can trip up. That is a reality. But another deck that we have to talk about that's kind of on the rise, a little bit more than expected, a little bit more than I expected, even, and that's Viserai. And uh, the last stream that I did, I had two different people ask me about Viserai's viability. I said that he was good, but you had to build him in a different way. I basically said if you were doing Mauve, attack, sword swing, you're not playing Vis the correct way. And then boom, we saw two different Viserai lists, Brody's and the person who won the event, um, or top aided or whatever the case may be. Um, I think he won, and they had no Moffs guys in the list, or at the very least, just blue ones. So, um, that's some, that's basically what I was referring to. Was you had to build the deck a little bit different to now. I think I'm gonna be 100% honest. Blue Rune Flash and Blue Rune Rager Swarm was completely off my radar. I had played around with Yellow Malefic, but yeah, Blue Rune Flash. We John's list used to run one or two of the Blue Rune Flash, but Blue Rune Rager Swarm is actually pretty nice because if you think about it, it's like a 0 for 2 go again block 3. Because it obviously is going to make a rune chain on the back end. But the most important thing about the deck is it does not get crippled by Warmonger's diplomacy. And I think that's the most important aspect of the way that we've seen the list move in that direction. So I think Viserai is something that I don't think a lot of players are just gonna pick up Viserai. But if you've ever had somebody that in your area that has played Viserai, there's a very good chance that they will land on that list specifically. Um, so be ready for it. I think that's another contender for this ProQuest season. Obviously, Aurora. We've seen a couple different variations. We have the Spellbound Creepers version that I have been playing. I'll give you an update on that. I am slowly every day moving away from that combination. Um, Magnetism and Electrify and Creepers in general have just started feeling like it's not enough, or it's too situational, or you have to work too hard for it, and the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's not that it's bad. It's just I like just everything costing 0 and forgetting about it. I like the consistency of it, right? We saw Sam's list. Congrats to Sam for the top 8 on Aurora. He did really good, and I like his deck building. Every card does a thing. He doesn't get fancy with it unless he has extra sideboard slots, and he throws in a Tower Shard, which we can respect that. But yeah, we've seen a couple versions of the Aurora. Some that focus more on non-attack, some that focus more on instants, right? What I will say is don't just throw Purgatory into your list. You need to understand what is the likelihood that you can actually use it. And so if you are one of those players that are kind of leaning toward the instant side of the Aurora deck, you probably need to just let it go, right? Because you're just not going to be able to do it. With that being said, Sam had Sigil of Solace in his deck. I'm gonna tell you why I like that card. The fact that you you can turn Gone in a Flash into a 2-card 7 on hit snatch draw snatch arsenal every time. It's kind of good. Also, Sigil gives you the ability to Sigil of Solace, not the defense reaction. Gives you the ability to bait the arsenal for CNC plays and things like that. So I do like the idea. That's really good tech that I am also experimenting with as well. And what are some other decks that we really need to kind of? I'm gonna go ahead and move over to a hero screen. Florian, I think that Florian is going to be reserved to if you have a lot of Guardian players in your area. I think they're just going to migrate to Florian. If I'm being honest, um, I think that's just the reality of it. I think Florian is the new Guardian. So anybody that likes that super blocky mid-rangey game style, that's going to be the deck for them. I don't expect it to perform well, but I do expect it to show up a lot. So be ready for that. As far as most representation from a meta standpoint, it should be Enigma, Aurora, and probably KO. KO is another interesting one just because it's so, I don't want to say it's easy to play because there is a little bit to the deck, but it's very easy to walk into, right? It's not something that it has a very low floor, low point of entry. And a lot of people are just comfortable with it. A lot of people already have it built. Uh yeah, Verdant's okay. You're right. You're 100% right. I think that Earth is the new Guardian. I should have clarified. I should have clarified. Um how are we feeling about CYB decks like Dash? You know what? We were having a good stream and then somebody had to mention Count Your Blessing. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's talk about Count Your Blessings for a second because I think it's very important on the local level because there's going to be some people that try it, right? And that's something that you are going to kind of have to be ready for. Although, my thing is, this is the way that I look at it. You, if you know for a fact that you're the best player in the room, or at least like you can entertain that thought, I think bringing a Count Your Blessing to deck is probably a decent idea, if I'm being 100% honest. And you can just skill gap people by prolonging the game, people not understanding how to beat it, and, take that route. But if you know there's going to be some really strong players there, I would really recommend against that. I really would. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there are going to be players that are going to be ready for it and they're going to have sideboarded correctly. And it's you lose a lot of percentage points with Count Your Blessings at a ProQuest because everybody scouts you, right? At the end of round one, when there's 5 minutes left of the round and you're the only person left playing, what is everybody doing? Everybody is going to go and watch your game, or at least, half of the room. And then that half of the room is going to talk to the other half of the room. You see that guy over there that, trying to waste everybody's time, and everybody's going to start talking. And then I guarantee you by round 3, everybody knows you're on Count Their Blessing, right? And then so everybody is going to not make the sideboarding error. And, you're going to lose every ounce of advantage you gain via that avenue. And so I think overall, it's a bad strategy. What I would recommend is bring tech for it for that reason, right? Uh, any deck that I bring is going to have 3 Poison the Wells or 3 Gravekeeping, whichever, or a combination of the two. And it's for that reason. I'm going to stand up after round 1, see who's playing Count Your Blessings, and whenever I sit across from them, boom, my win percentage is going to go through the roof, right? There's nothing they can do about it. So it's simple as that, right? And so I would not really recommend bringing Count Your Blessings, but I would recommend the tech because you get so much EV by not being wrong when you guess. You get a lot of EV actually. The only round where it's a little iffy is round 1, where you really got to just guess and see what the person is doing and, go off of that. You got to do some soul reading round 1. But literally after round 1, you're going to have 100% accuracy. Okay, I'm playing Present Member ProQuest. I believe I will be doing quite well. I hope that's correct. I hope that is correct. Everyone is going to see your life pad. I mean, that's true. That is true. So KO is a good I think he will have a very high representation, and just because of his consistent play pattern, I think he'll actually do pretty decent. He's not gonna blow it out of the park, but he'll convert solid, right? Kano's gonna do what Kano always does, and just take advantage of people that don't understand what's going on. He's even gonna get some bonus points because the whole for the pages or whatever that draw two card is. You know, people are not going to know when to save their spell void or whatever the case may be, and you know they're going to get some free points there. The Verdant's Life Pad is the funniest thing in the world. Yeah, I was using all of it during the calling, the sealed calling. I mean, all of it. Levia, you're gonna know if somebody's bringing Levia. There's no real need to discuss it. Everybody has a Levia player in their local area, and you know whether to account for them or not. Simple as that. Same for Azalea. I don't think Azalea is just a deck that anybody at ProQuest just picks up. It's a very odd one to do that. You always have your warrior players, Josh, that want to die on a hill, and prove a point by winning a ProQuest on a warrior when they're completely invalid. So you do have to account for those, obviously. It's going to be a little bit difficult on that end because you're not right now. There's no solidified answer on whether they're dual wielding or Dawnblade or whatever the case may be. I think the best strategy currently is Dawnblade Dory. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna run into somebody that's not doing the hatchets thing, right? It's just a possibility that could happen, right? Nothing you can do about it. So, with that being said, what are some other decks? New, same thing. I think news the Katsu should have already left the game, and then dash players are always dash players. And then you have the Rune Blade aficionados. I think the deck that people will hop on, just the flavor or people trying to spike, will be Aurora, Florian, or Verdance, specifically. Obviously, not just the new heroes in general. Just because they do something fun, they do something unique, they're powerful, and people are just having a good time playing them. And I think that actually carries a lot of weight during the ProQuest season because once again, local players, they love to just play what um don't call me out for my Dash go. I think Dash is actually a pretty good pick, being 100% honest, but you have to play like this cheesy shit. Yeah, so that's kind of my idea on where things will be. I'm expecting probably the most represented across the board. From a ProQuest standpoint, I think it's actually going to be Aurora, which is quite the guess because if you look at the representation of Enigma at the calling, it was literally like I might not have this number 100% correct, but I thought I saw like 46% of the room was like Enigma or something, or 36. It was a stupid high number. Maybe that was the conversion rate. I'm not sure. But there were a lot of Enigma was easily the most represented deck at the most recent calling. And so I don't think that will carry over into the ProQuest level. I think there's so many people at the ProQuest level that just do not like this style of deck. And so there will be some, of course, and those people, if they are very practiced with the deck, will do amazingly well. I think that she will have the best conversion in the ProQuest season, but I just don't think she'll have the highest of representation. I think the most represented deck will be Aurora. And also, as a close second, probably Florian or KO. One of the two. Probably KO now that I think about it. So I'm really expecting Aurora and KO to kind of show up. Just on the backs of this is the linear kind of aggro deck that's like doing the fun, cool thing, and then you have KO that's like, you know, tried and tested, right? Like everybody knows how to play KO by now. Everybody's still got their Blood Rush Bellows. Everybody's taking their Balance of Justices out, and so you gain a little bit of equity there. The conversion rate was 37%. Okay, that like I said, I wasn't 100% sure on the number. That does sound right, but I know that it was the most represented deck in the room. Is Riptide a meme? Please say no. I do not think Riptide is a meme. I think Riptide is good into Enigma in most cases. I don't think Aurora is that good, but you can always, cheese with a collapsing trap or something. The problem is she could just dump her instance, right? And it gets dicey quick. And you're not that good into KO either. So I don't know. Yeah, I think he might be a meme actually now. He might be back to being a meme. He's not that good in he just gets punished by warmongers indirectly. Unless you're on like the hyper fatigue, but like if you're fatiguing with Riptide, you're just not doing it right. There's so many other decks that just do it better, right? Why not do it with Verdance and have a combo, right? Just makes sense. Makes a lot more sense. So yeah, I think, and that's coming from somebody that was a Riptide believer, right? I had him in A tier for the longest amount of time. But if you knew there was a lot of Enigma, I think you could bring Riptide. I think you could. Absolutely think you could. But with the KOs reincorporating cast bones and things like that, I think it gets a little sus. I think it gets a little sus. I know you can always high roll and get your buzzsaw trap when they cast bones. I get that, but it doesn't always line up like that, and it's a very scary matchup. He bad into wizards too, right? No, he's actually, if you pack a little bit of spell void, he's actually not that bad because he has like enough blues, enough like just good disruption. He has efficient AB in the headpiece. Aggro can put much pressure, and you have changed play lines. I mean, yeah, but I mean, at that point, I think you're just a worse Azalea. So you were telling me my Riptide counter blessings is a meme? Yes, yes, I am. We'll see it, Osaka. Well, I guess. Oh man, Riptide counter blessings. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. We talking about KO being best deck in format. It's not. It's not the best deck in the format. But yeah. How does Riptide beat Earth Heroes? I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Recommendations for playing Victor into New. It seems Anathos is played over Hammer and Shield. I just haven't cracked the code on this match. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I haven't played the matchup too often. I just know that it really involves being conscious of what blues you're putting in the banish zone. What lines are you taking that can lead to certain blues getting into the banish zone, and you really want the game to end kind of quickly. You don't want the game to go too terribly long, unless you're like this Giga Fatigue deck, right? Then, like, of course, you can try that. Viserai is best in format. Maybe. It. I won't disagree with that statement, but I won't necessarily agree with it. I think he's showing potential. The Azalea versus Riptide talk is dumb because they work different ways. No, they just have different spreads. Like, and I would rather have Azalea's spread. Simple as that. Yeah, they're two different decks, but I think Azalea is better into aggro. than Riptide, the aggro that we currently see. I think that Azalea is almost as not as good into Enigma. I'll give you that. Way better into the Earth heroes because you can actually kill them. And, just overall, you can shut down the Rune Blades and stop them from doing their very high explosive stuff. So that's kind of the idea. Azuri or New? I got to go with New on that one, me personally. Nobody's saying that Riptide and Azalea are the same deck. I'm just saying they have different matchup spreads, and I would rather have Azalea. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. That is the idea of where I think the meta will be. I think Aurora will be the most represented. I think Enigma will have the highest conversion. I think KO will be the second most represented. And then I think there's going to be a little bit of surprise that we're going to see a lot of Earth. Like a lot of Earth. And although the Earth will kind of be diluted a little bit because it'll be split pretty evenly between Florian and Verdance. And I think it just has to do with a lot of people just love that play style. And yeah, that's where I currently have the meta at. So now that we've kind of... Oh, let's talk about the Rune Blades a little bit. Vinny, I don't think anybody's hopped on Vinny. I think if you have that Vinny player in your meta, I think they're going to obviously continue to play her because she's a lot better. But I don't think that there's been kind of a spotlight put on her since the new cards are out that are going to give new players the confidence to roll in ProQuest season with her. Somebody might do it. I just think it'll be somewhat unusual. Same thing with Viserai, but to a lesser extent. I think a lot of people will just pick up Brody's list and kind of run with it, which I don't think is a bad starting point at all. I think Brody's list is actually very good. And it's just... And if I'm being 100% honest, I don't think it's too terribly difficult to play because you run more non-attack actions, which means that the deck is built in a way to where you have so much go again built in the deck that you no longer have to keep that count in the back of your mind, right? Like, how many mob skies have I seen? All my swarmies are gone. I'm not gonna have go again. I need to like really prioritize getting. You're just gonna draw your hands and kind of play them to the max efficiency while also setting up for big turns. You need to practice the OTK strat against certain strategies, but I think you'll be all right. How do you think Adult Ira will be in this meta? Well, that's not coming out till after Worlds. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I think she's mid and a half currently where things stand. I don't think she'll be bad. I just don't think she's doing enough. Don't think she's doing enough. There's too much combo to be going 2-card 9, flick flack, block with a combo card, right? There's too much combo going around. I think she will dominate the meta at some point in the future, just not this meta. How long before people realize that Olympia is best deck in not this game? Best deck in not this game. Let's go Rune Blade. I have a spicy KO list. It's going to be quite the surprise. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Ven is good against Enigma, but New seems a bad matchup. That could be correct. Yeah, I just think that you would... I don't know. I don't think New's that good into Aurora. New's a dog into Enigma. Like, New's not even that great into KO. Like, if you're bringing New... What are you targeting? Why? Like, I think the Earth Heroes actually beat you up. Like, I don't know if you bring New to ProQuest season. What do you actually want to sit across from? Sure, Viserai. Vinny can give you a run for your money even. Like, I don't know. I don't know. If blocky Earth is represented then is Rhinar good? Matt, I love where your thought process is, but no. No. Rhinar is gonna get absolutely dumpstered by all the Rune Blades and Azalea. Uh if the meta if you know you're walking into a room that's half Earth, then yes, maybe. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. When people are utilizing life gain, okay, why is Rhinar good into a blocky deck, right? It's because they can't convert their cards into block value, which reduces their life total, right, towards 0. If they can then just turn around and pitch that card to play a Count Your Blessings, they did the same thing as block. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but like, if there's enough, the end result, the final statement is if there's enough life gain in the format, intimidate means absolutely nothing. It just doesn't. How do you think Vincent would perform against Enigma, Aurora, and KO? I think she does fine. I think that against Enigma specifically, a lot of people like to just say, oh, that's a free matchup. It's a really good matchup. And it is if you are very practiced on it. Okay. Don't walk in there saying you're going to beat them all, or anything like that. So just be careful. I mean, isn't this all moot because Dio about to just be 100% of the meta? I mean, where's the lie though? Where is the lie? After ProQuest season is halfway done, I think the second the Armory deck drops, Dio's representation, I think not the first week, but the second one, she becomes the most represented deck in or the highest represented deck. Like what's coming. I don't think people are ready. I don't think people are ready. Where's the tier list? I can't follow if not presented in a tier list format. We just did one. Olympia got hard nerfed, so there's no hope for him anymore. Yeah, that's what was holding back. That's what was holding back. Kano with AB Spellvoid equipment, free matchup. Great Axe Olympia doesn't care about cash in, so no nerf for me. There you go. Ben said it's hard to master. On one hand, you have one less card to work with against someone like, say, Florian. On the other hand, you have 5 to 7. Yep. If you do a little stack action, or not really stacking, but just setting up and understanding certain win cons and stuff like that, then you have a way to close the game out very, very consistently. I would say, especially if they give you the room. If they give you the room, you just run them over with a bunch of Deathly Wills. So, yeah, I am going to. We've been going for about 30 minutes, just talking about meta in general. So now we got a little bit more people in chat than when we started. So what I want to do now is I want to open up chat to ask. When I started the stream, for anybody that wasn't here when I first started the stream, the goal of this stream was to give people very tailored advice, right? Because I can't just say these are the 5 best decks, go win a ProQuest, right? Because you might not have those cards, you might not be able to afford those cards, you might not want to play that deck, you might not have any reps on that type of deck. The whole room might be Earth Heroes. We just don't know the local situation. So what I want to do is leave chat up to you. You give me the information and I will give you the best advice that I can. Tell me what you can play, right? Tell me what decks you have to choose from, right? 1 or 2, all of them, whatever the case may be. And then give me a brief description of your local meta. A lot of Rune Blades, a lot of Illusionist, Brutes everywhere, whatever the situation is. And then what I'll do is I will do my best in a very time-efficient manner. I can't spend like 5-10 minutes on each person because these might start rolling in, right? but I'm going to say, you have a lot of Enigma and you can play, you know, uh Aurora and something else. I'll say, all right, with Aurora, you really need to like focus on Mark of Lightning, which puts the Enigma player in certain situation and give you some like sideboarding ideas. And ways to like utilize that sideboard space to gain an advantage based on what you have access to. I don't want to tell you play Viserai when you don't want to play Viserai. I want to know your situation and give you the best tailored advice I possibly can. So, chat, it's free. Just dump it in there. Just, ask away. I'm here to answer your questions, your situation with the upcoming ProQuest. While the questions come in, I'm going to talk a little bit about draft while we get some of them kind of in there. But just put all of that in one message, preferably. And I would love to help you, all of you, as much as I possibly can. As far as draft, thanks to anybody that swung by the draft camp that we did. We streamed it like we always do. We just have like a little barbecue, something Josh always does, really cool. And we did 4 drafts. I went 11-1, so it was a pretty good day. It was solid. I drafted Aurora, Florian, and double Verdance. Was my drafting, and I can give you a couple ideas as far as drafting goes. It's not like there are archetypes, but I think synergies are the most important things in draft. So like my Aurora draft, I literally pack one, picked one, a red somersault, and I just started drafting around that. And then I got a yellow one. And then so I just started drafting a bunch of one cost, which was actually an idea that Vero gave me. And so I think literally just finding a power card and just building around it is enough to win a bunch of games. I literally think it's enough. If you just play like good flesh and blood, and I think the synergies are what's important, right? It's not playing Runeblade, not Florian, having enough Earth. Like, yes, those things are important, but like having a Dirge and a Cussing is like way more important than a Fertile Ground, right? It just astronomically more important. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into chat. They're flying in, so we're gonna start knocking these out the window. I do think at a PQ level, similar to taking CYB, Dio has the opposite problem where prepared players are going to be ready for trying to fatigue her. I mean, good luck. That's all I gotta say. If the Dio's player is good, I wish you the best. I'm playing Enigma and I'm worried about Vis and Vinny. I would be too, but play a couple matchups, slow the game down, understand when you kind of control the gas on Vinny, understand whether the Vinny player is, blowing their load or if they're kind of like holding it back, waiting for you to play Ward, and then you just don't play Wars. They take a little bit of blood debt and you can kind of work it down kind of situation. It's not a good matchup. I'm not gonna sell you anything wrong on it. So you're pretty much Fab GPT. I mean, all right, well played. Yeah, I mean, type it in chat and yeah, we'll get some AI on it. Because why not? Why not? Okay, a lot of Aurora, couple Azalea, have Enigma, but can't decide between CYB and Classic. See, this is the perfect question, right? You gave me enough information, right? You gave me a deck and then 2 archetypes in the deck, and you kind of gave me some information about the meta. So I'm gonna do whatever I can. Okay, so Azalea, specifically Azalea, I think that the Classic, kind of what Pablo was playing, is going to do better into that. And I think also into Aurora, because what I have found that Aurora can create these game states where she can just hyper accelerate the game out of nowhere, almost on accident. And if you and it mainly comes down to the fact that you can't block all of it because you have a bunch of instants in your deck that have to be played out, right? And also, like I discussed earlier, you're going to lose a lot of value from people scouting you after the first round. So, based off of what you've told me, I would highly, highly recommend the classic style Enigma list. Probably Pablo's list should be on the fabtcg website right now. I would just reference that. Not necessarily build it card for card. You can. It's probably an amazing list, but I would go that direction with it in that meta specifically. I'm bringing Aurora to my PQs. I expect Enigma, Assassin, and the rest to be open meta of anything with 30 plus people. Is Snag worth a slot? I do not think it is. I think there's equity to be gained by just running cards like Sam ran Sigil of Solace, cards like that you can really kind of do like a little bit of a bait and a switch, more somersaults, right? Run more somersaults. Basically, at least 3 red ones. Don't obviously go up to the yellow ones. That's absurd. But make sure you have 3. If you're on 2, bump it up to 3. And then also, if you're on like 1 or 2 Sigil of Suffering, maybe bump it up to 3. Those D reacts are going to go a long way. Your hand's scaled down really well, so you can still do 2 card 8s a lot of the time, and the breakpoints really matter against Nuke. She doesn't have a ton of armor. So that's the best advice I can give you. I do not think Snag is worth a slot. Nu or Azalea are my choices. Lots of Enigma, Earth Heroes, Dash IO, and the best, the Rune Blades. Okay, so out of those, Enigma is going to destroy Nu, right? Not what you want to see. The Earth Heroes, if they're slow enough, they're also going to give you a really hard time. And then Dash IO, you're obviously probably actually going to be a little bit better as Nu. But then going back to the Rune Blades, I think Azalea is actually better into the Rune Blades. So between those 2 choices, Doug, I got to give it to Azalea. Of course, don't forget, please, please, please factor in your rep count and how comfortable you are with that hero. So like if you have 300 games on Nu in 10 games on Azalea, probably just play Nu, right? Like if we're being 100% honest. But if you're relatively equal, just go with Azalea. I have Riptide, KO, and Dash IO. My local meta is going to be Rune Blades and Enigma. For that one, I gotta go. If your Riptide is aggro and you have a lot of reps on it, Edward, that's a tough one to answer. Riptide, if you're really good on it and you have a very aggressive list. KO, if the Enigma player, no shade, if the Enigma players maybe aren't the best in the world, take KO. Take KO. If they're like average or below Enigma players, just on a general scale, take KO. Somebody from your local meta is going to watch the stream and then realize you took KO and it basically insulted them. Oh, the things I live for. Meta ranges from Pro Tour players who will meta call for training to those playing Arachne for the love. My first deck is KO, but built KO and Aurora. I think Aurora's in a good spot. It asks a question and it doesn't care about answering anything, which is a good spot to be if it's that open. I could play and build any Runeblade deck. Local meta is pretty evenly spread, with Enigma player being the best overall. Okay, if that's the case, then I would go Viserai or Aurora, depending on which one you can play better specifically into Enigma, right? So get some practice games in with both of them into an Enigma player, whichever one you think is producing better results. I would not recommend Vinny unless you got like a lot of experience on Vinny. And definitely don't bring Florian. Oh God, don't bring Florian if there's a bunch of Enigma. Okay. I'm going as fast as I can, chat. Bear with me. I have Rhinar, Riptide, Azalea, KO, Zen, and Teklo. That's a lot of cards. I'm anticipating one real good Enigma and a solid mix across meta heroes. Not sure what to bring. Okay, so Rhinar is going to be pretty decent, believe it or not, into Enigma, even with the whole counter blessings kind of thing. It gets a lot less good. So if you think the Enigma player that you're trying to bring, and you make a very good point, at a ProQuest, all the prizing is at the top level, right? Like you got to win the thing. So you're going to play this really good player at some point in time if you're on track to win the event. So you need to bring something that's decent into it, which means I would not bring Teklo. I would not bring Rhinar if you think they're the type of person that would bring CYB or Counter Blessings. I think Azalea, if you're really teched, you need to go up to maybe 4 to 6 Murkmires. Do what you have to do there. Riptide's a solid choice if your list is hyper aggressive. KO is not a good choice if the Enigma player is really good, contrary to popular belief. And then Zen is solid, but you need to build the Zen list in a very aggressive, consistent manner. I hope that helps you. That's a pretty cool idea to help people with their metas based on their collection. I mean, once again, I don't want to just, oh yeah, you guys should play Victor and nobody has a Guardian card. Like, the whole reason I do these streams is literally to help players. And I just, saying that this is the top 5 decks, just, I don't know who's benefiting from that. There's so many different, so many different things. I'm a new player playing Viserai, and it's my first tournament. Welcome to the game. I don't know the players there. How do I prepare best for that? I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm going to tell you what nobody else is going to tell you, and I'm just going to tell you the truth. It's going to be rough. Viserai is a very high skill ceiling deck, and you're running into a very low variance game. Very low variance format specifically. And there's going to be a lot of nuances. You're going to play into some Enigmas, which is supposed to be statistically a favorable matchup, but it's probably not going to feel that way. Unless you're coming from like another card game and you're like a grinder of another card game and you're just transitioning card games or whatever the case may be. But it's going to be rough. The best thing that I would recommend is go on to Talishar and make sure that you get at least the most you will learn in a matchup is the first few matches. So just try to play as many popular matchups as you can on Talishar. Make sure you get some Aurora matches, some Enigma matches, some Florian, some Verdants, KO, the rest of the Rune Blades. Make sure you get like just 2 games of each against those. And a good way to tailor your matchup spread on Talishar is to create a lobby and then in the lobby name just put looking for X hero, right? And you can just list a couple so that way the same hero is not joining your queue or whatever the case may be. Or you can keep refreshing until one pops up. So just make sure that you get a couple reps into them. That's the best thing I could recommend for you. Gonna play an open meta, expect meta decks, but my options are Acilio, Dio, and Dash IE. The boost or hybrid for the first week. What to do? Okay. Unless you've broken the game, don't play Acilio. If you've broken the game, play Acilio. But out of those, if you're like a really good Dio player that can beat fatigue, then I would do that. If you're not confident in your Dio's ability to beat fatigue, specifically like counter blessings and stuff like that, I would maybe do like a hybrid slower version of Dash IE. That would be my best advice I could give you. How do you think Victor looks in the PQ meta? Could be solid by targeting Dash. IO, similar to how. So I think you have the right thought process, but you have to remember that the Dash IO deck doesn't come out till after the second week of ProQuest. So therefore, you know, there's no, you're not targeting anybody the first 2 weeks. You're just being a target. So after the deck comes out in week 3 and week 4, I think it's a solid idea. I think you'll get a lot of the new Dash IO players. I think it'll be a very, I think the Victor match will be very Victor favored at the beginning, but once they develop a plan, I think it will flip back to being Dash IO favored. What would you say is the best I'm feeling sick, don't want to think too hard and do well kind of deck at the moment? I think that's got to be KO or Aurora. Or if you have reps, just flip shit off the top of the Azalea. If the local meta has a lot of Aurora, new Brute, do those matchups play well with Kasai as a potential spoiler? Aurora, I don't think is good for Kasai. I've had people disagree with me on that. We'll see. I think Aurora is actually pretty decent into new. Brute, you're really good into, right? If you're dual wielding, I'm assuming. So I think you're gonna do really good into Brute, and if you're defensive enough, you might do well into new, but you might struggle into Aurora. But you might beat newer / more casual Aurora players that don't understand the importance of really setting stuff up. So I would not bring Kasai, but if you're going to do it, take all of the risk and play it like this slow, mid-rangey, grindy version. Don't try to race people that you have no business racing. I'm in doubt with these decks. Aurora, Viserai, and KO. My meta is 2. Oh, wow. He has the exact numbers. Okay. Okay. Your decks are Aurora, Viserai, and KO. My meta is 2 new, 1 Dash IE, 1 Max, 1 KO, 1 Victor, 1 Dory, Hatchet. Ooh. Viserai, Aurora, Rhinar, Prism, Arachnia, Zuri. So no Enigma, which validates KO, but then you have the Hatchet Dory. But then you're good. For that meta, I actually really like KO, if I'm being 100% honest. But at the same time, it depends on who. Like, yes, the numbers are great, but like the top 2 players, like what are they playing? Because that's what's gonna determine my decision, right? Can you do a backflip? I cannot. I cannot. What's up, Mo? Good to see you, man. Thanks for the game at the calling. I got Florian and Refractor Enigma. Meta is Ranger, Illusionist, and maybe Runeblade. Oh god, you don't want to bring Florian if there's Illusionist. You don't want to bring Refractor Enigma in the mirror. All right, hear me out. Hear me out. Bring Florian, but pack your CMHs, your Bramble Sparks, your get as much aggression in that sideboard as you possibly can to play against the Illusionist. Okay, that's the best advice I can give you. What's up, Josh? Good to see you. Local meta is Runeblades, Azalea, and Brutes. For ProQuest, I expect meta illusionists from out of town. Okay, I'm assuming they're good illusionists and a good Kano. I'm warrior main. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Can feasibly play Dory, Kasai, New, Verdance, Dash if I had to. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. The best deck into that spread is 100% Dash. Like It's not even close. Well, I guess that's not true. You said meta illusionist. Like how many in the good Kano? Mm, yeah. For me, it's gotta be Dash or Verdance with that spread. Like, I just don't know how Warriors beaten any of that. I really don't. Off room blades are the worst? No, they're not. Come on. Come on. I have an Enigma start and Aurora starter. I'm thinking if I jam them together, I can get disqualified round one and save myself the embarrassment. That is a line that you can take. That is a line you can take. What do you think about running Talisman of Cremation in sideboard for Vinny? So, when Vinny first came out, I had that card in my deck because in efforts to win the mirror, right? And my idea was I was going to leverage that card to stack their blood debt and make them die to blood debt was my idea. So I've been playing around with that card specifically in Vinny for actually a little over a year now. And no, it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Um I mean, are you saying in Vinny or for Vinny? Because you don't want to banish things for Vinny. That's bad. And I mean, like, yes, you get to hit their count your blessings. I mean, yeah, maybe. Actually, just to count your blessings, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's every time you play a card from banish, name a card, banish all cards. Yes. Play one of these. Play one of these is just play one and do not put it in your deck unless you have scouted somebody that's on count your blessings. Do that. Play one copy and then do that. Easy. So yes, answer your question is yes. Maybe even two if you got like really fatigued degenerates in your area. Aggro Riptide is the way to go. It's a choice you can make. It's a choice. Planning on Azuri and Bolton for 2 PQs, Rangers, Assassin, Bolton, and Teklo available. Meta very open, so expecting Aurora, Florian, OG Dash, 2 Enigmas at least, 2 Azalea KO, and some wild cards. Azuri into OG Dash. Enigma's gonna be rough. Bolton's a no-go. I would have to go with Azalea in that meta. Yeah. Riptide or Azalea in that meta. With Aurora, Florian, OG Dash, 2 Enigmas, into Azalea. Yeah, you just gotta make sure that your list is super aggressive. Super aggressive. I landed on Vis because not much time to test, but I'm pretty comfortable on new as well. Probably more reps recently than Viserai. I expect a relatively well-rounded metagame, which makes it hard. Lots of Aurora and Earth heroes. Yeah, like new is not gonna do terribly well. I would bring Vis in that situation, me personally. I'm kind of the best person in my state, and it's not close. How far down the tier list can I go to give others a chance before just going O2? Oh, I mean, if you're the best in the state, then you can do whatever you want, right? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Throw a Betsy out there. Oh, Betsy. I have Enigma, Riptide, Bolton, and Levia. Okay. Meta's going to be Earth, Leaning Verdance. That's a good bit of information there. And top player bringing top decks, i.e. Enigma and Aurora. Okay, and you have Enigma. So if you think you're the better Enigma player, I would bring Enigma, right? If you think you can confidently beat them in the mirror match. What I need to be doing is do this. So I can look over here while I'm reading, you know. Okay. So, like I was saying, if you know you're the better Enigma player, I would bring Enigma personally. Other than that, Riptide in that meta is actually a solid choice. But if you can play Levia like really well, I think it's a solid choice. I think it's a solid choice. Just be ready for the Verdant's life gain situation. Know you're out. Put yourself in that fatigue situation and ask yourself, what would Ethan do? I am, in fact, on aggro Riptide. It's my main deck, but I have quite a few reps on KO as well. High level players in my area I know are going to be on Enigma and the Room Blades. If the high level players are on Enigma, I would go Riptide over KO. Me personally. Thanks for the input, of course. Of course. I normally play Ninja, Brute, and Runeblade. My local meta is Guardian, Assassin, Wizard, Brute, and Illusionist. I'm leaning toward Viserai. Viserai is going to be good into the Illusionist. The Guardian with Purgatory, really juicy. Assassin, same thing, believe it or not. Wizard, you got Dense AB, you got a bunch of Spell Void. And then Brute, you just can outrace it, right? I think Viserai is a fantastic pick in that meta. Some good Ven content out there too. Yep, that's a fact. But the mid players are going to be mostly on Victor, Mechs, and Brutes. Wizard is the only class not really represented. Yep. Then yeah, I would stick with if there's no wizards, you 100% take Riptide. 100%. I'm actually starting to get caught up, chat. I'm starting to get caught up. I have Victor or Max and new with Verdance. Okay, so I'm going to discount Verdance a little bit going forward. Just let you know if you tell me you're new with it. Our meta is Enigma, Runeblades, Assassin, and Zen. I feel best with Victor. Max seems high roll into most. Moonshot bad. Moonshot, yes, it is bad. To answer that question. And if you go, I think that Victor is probably a good route, and you might just the Enigma matchup at the highest level, it's actually not that bad, believe it or not. If you really play towards cast homes or visit the Goldman Estate, it's actually not like horrendous. You just have to play a very aggressive Victor list. So in that meta, with the choices you gave me, I would bring Victor. If you could get a lot of reps on Verdance, maybe. How does Dio play for fatigue? You have a lot of avenues like damage stacking. You have Hyper Scrapper. I think that's what it is. Long-winded way to say hungover. They play new Dash and KO. Yep. You're referring to your previous statement. I redact my statement. I didn't think you knew who I was. I mean, it was a guess. It was a very educated guess. It was the highlight Mo, and then I played against you at the calling. It was an educated guess. When the Dio Armory deck comes out, which version of the deck do you think is better? Mara build with a lot of breakpoints, boom grenades, or big max V turns? What if I told you you didn't have to pick one? And you just did it all. Sit on that for a second. But not to be a smartass, I literally think you can do both. I don't think you have to sacrifice for one or the other. Just bring Count Your Blessings Teklo and boost mech in my box. Counting the enigmas in the room when I get there and taking the dive. You know, that's actually smart. Every time I go to a ProQuest, usually most of the time. This time I will not be doing it, but most of the time I'll bring something that's you know, I'll bring like a couple decks or whatever and just whatever I feel like playing. I have to play against Andrew Lorenz. No clue what he's on. I have Dash.io Florent. Andrew Lorenz is easy. He was at our draft camp. I took him down 3 times. 3-0'd him. No, Andrew is a very solid player. If I had to guess, he's probably on Runeblade. I don't know which one, but probably on Runeblade, if I had to guess. So if you have Dash.io, Florian, and Acilio, none of it's good. Like, I don't know. I guess Dash.io, I guess. Yeah, Dash.io is going to be something with that new item, 100%. I'll see if I can finish my Dash list and get some reps. Otherwise, we'll see how Verdance goes. Best of luck. Invinny against CYB. Yes, like I said, 100% think you should run the Talisman of Cremation. Have it as a 2 of in my tickle list. Makes CYB a meme. That's so true. It's always Bolton. Count your Betsies. There you go. There you go. Spent the whole stream yesterday trying to answer the question, Bolton or Tory. Which do you think is better at the moment? Josh, I'm going to tell you an incorrect answer. I'm going to say Bolton only because somebody did something with it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's actually true. They could have just gotten like perfect matchups, or I have no clue. I mean, we know Josh, we've talked about this, how dual wielding warrior is just like not it right now. It just doesn't do enough, not enough offensive output. There's too much combo. It just ain't it. So really it's just comparing Dawnblade against Raiden, if I had to guess. And I don't know. I think both of them kind of prey on what your opponents know about the deck. I mean, how many people are blocking with attacks? Not that many. I don't know. Is chat restricted right now? I see the mods messages appearing, but mine didn't. I mean, I see your message right now. The one I just read. That happened to me earlier. Try reloading the page. Okay. Thank you for that. I've never seen that before. Count your blessing, Arachne. That is a choice that you can make. That is a choice. Dash better as a control with CYB or straight aggro. I think actually control is the best route for Dash right now. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I think it's the best way. I am debating Vis, Vin, or Verdance. Probably going Vis. I mean, I don't know anything about your meta, so I just off of the heroes you named, I would say that Vis is probably. Unless you're just like this Vincent player that's been playing the deck for years, I would say Vincent. Or I would say Viserai. If my local scene has an outside population of wizard, Runeblade and Illusionist, what would you recommend? Well, you didn't tell me what you have, so I'm just going to tell you what's the best thing into that. Runeblade, Illusionist, and Wizard. Immediately go to Azalea. I think Azalea is a good pick for that. I think also leaning into the Runeblades, you'll play some mirrors that are somewhat uncomfortable, but you'll be solid into the Illusionist, and you'll be really good into the wizards, especially Aurora. So from what you've described to me, I would say Azalea or Aurora. Those would be my two recommendations for you. As Enigma, I'm having a hard time into Mech and Azalea. Any advice? No, that means that you're playing the game correctly because those are two very dicey matchups. Um, Especially if the Azalea player is good and they are teched for you. It is not very straightforward. What do you think about Truce? I think that it's if your blues are shit, play Truce just for the turn 0 high roll. You're never going to resolve it outside of turn 0, but having that into your deck as a blue 3 block seems pretty decent. Seems pretty decent. Hey, I have a tourney this weekend. Which do you think is better placed, Florian, Levia, or Vis? I would say out of those, Viserai. Unless you just have like an ungodly number of reps on Levia. My local scene has 2 Victors, 2 Enigma, 1 Acilio, 1 Dash IE, 1 Levia, 1 Vis. My toss up is Bolton or Viserai. Okay, so we're going into Acilio, 2 Victors. That's red flag for Bolton. 2 Enigmas. Okay, you should play Vis. You should play Viserai. You should play Viserai, but you should really practice your OTK plan. Like, really practice it. And understand it. Understand when you can block with things, when you can't block with things, and understand how much you actually need to kill them. I've been playing for 3 months. My options are Dorinthia and KO. My local meta. I don't even need to know what your local meta is. It answers KO. Easy. Easy. The answer is not warrior. That is the answer. My local scene is mostly Guardian, Ranger, Brute, Illusionist. You mentioned something earlier, so what's the context? You're debating Vis or Verdance or Vincent, and you're saying that you have a bunch of Guardian, Ranger, Brute, Illusionist. We do have some fatigue decks that come outside of town, but I think Vis has played. Yes, so same thing as the last person. I would just Azalea shouldn't be too bad for Viserai because you get to take her off an arsenal with Purgatory. But same thing as last person. I highly, highly, highly recommend you really practice your fatigue plan, basically. All right, I know everyone is backing up on Warmongers thing. Of course, of course. The answer is not war. it's the truth, Josh. I mean, it be like that. It be like that. Okay, so chat has started to slow down. I am getting a little tired. So if anybody has any ProQuest situations that they want advice on, feel free to throw in what decks you have access to. Tell me a little bit about the meta so I can give you the best advice. And then, throw it in chat. If chat continues to kind of dwindle down a little bit, I'll start calling it about 15, 20 minutes or so. But if you have any questions or want any advice on anything, please throw it in chat right now. I'd love to get to it. Not gonna lie, I was eyeing up Bolton for PQ after seeing it in action, but I have no reps on him. Just the other warriors. I mean, see, the tough part is like, I don't know. No disrespect to the Bolton player that top aided. I don't know if it was just matchups. I don't know if they're just like better than the people they played, or if it was Bolton. I don't know. So like, I can't give too much credit to that one performance, right? It might just be like the next Pablo Pintor. Who I don't know. I don't even know who it was. And like no disrespect on it, but like literally just because something top eights does not mean it's necessarily a good deck. There's a lot of variance in a tournament and things can work out, things cannot. He could also just be the trailblazer that solved it all. We don't know. We don't know. My locals, I don't know what it's going to be. A lot of people will be down in Battle Hard DC, but usually it's heavy brute. I'm assuming aggro as well with Aurora. I'm comfortable with new low chi. Um, I think that if you have a lot of brute, a lot of aggro, I think news is a solid choice. I think news is a solid choice. Draft, can I just pick Florian and Prey? You and like 5 other people in the pod sure can. And you know, when warrior is bad, the answer isn't go learn another warrior. I mean, you know, it'd be like that sometimes. I only practice new. How cooked am I? I don't think. I mean, new's not like what I would bring. I'll put it that way. I don't think she's the worst pick in the world. She's no warrior, but like, it's you might have to innovate on your new list a little bit and just play like the traditional thing. Maybe go more aggressive. Maybe slow down a little bit more. I don't know which one's the answer. The traditional new list, I just don't think it gets the job done. Really don't. You prefer Verdance with Count Your Blessings or the normal version? I don't think you need Count Your Blessings. But I'm that's a little bit outside my wheelhouse. I'll be honest. I fully admit when I do not actually know something or have like a strong enough, you know, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not going to tell you anything otherwise. I will say that there is an amazing wizard player that I would recommend you ask, and that would be Rhea. She has a YouTube channel on Hit Effect, I believe. She does some live streams. Hop in there sometime, and maybe she can answer that for you. But I just don't know the answer to that question. I'm being honest, and I don't want to lead you astray. I'm perfectly fine admitting when I don't know something. What I would do if I was in your situation is I know that there was a game during one of the events between Levi Rauch and somebody else, and it was two Verdance match. It was a Verdance mirror match, one with CYB, one without. I would study that game, understand what the benefits are, what the what's not a benefit, and go from there. Basically, I would really study that game, understand what you gain, what you lose by playing one version or the other, and try and tailor that into your meta. Enigma, Slapdash, or Azuri? The cancerous of spreads. More value-based meta, but got fairly equal reps on. If you have a value-based meta, I think you just run Enigma or Slapdash, either one. Me personally, I would play whichever of those two you can play better. Simple as that. Luckily, I am a better Vis player than Whit Lucas, the guy asking about Vis or Bolton. So I got a better OTK plan than him. I'll probably run into Auroras. Wait, I lost it. Okay. I'll probably run into Auroras and Enigmas, Guardian and Warrior 2, but anything is good against them. Everybody's just shitting on Warrior. Oh, that's too good. Do I go with Verdant CYB or once again, like I just don't know. And I don't want to tell you something I don't know. Simple as that. This is a dope stream to catch the end of. I appreciate it. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, I'm just trying to help players. My meta is, what would that be? Catherine Narford and Losh Jow. Yeah, mine doesn't work the same way as yours, Josh. Lost Jow is way better than Kath and Narford. Oh, KD and Knights. Call him Kevin Durant. I heard they love Runeblade, Warrior, and Guardian. What should I play? You should play the warrior that you enjoy playing. That's what you're gonna do. Which I think if he's playing what Florian or Verdance or whatever, then I don't know. It'd probably be Bolton because Purgatory is scary for Dawnblade. I don't know. Probably be Bolton. Bringing the heat to Jackson. You can't tell local vid. Okay. You mean Jackson, Tennessee? I was going to go to that ProQuest. I was going to be there, but the wife signed me up for something. So I will not be at the ProQuest in Jackson, Tennessee. I had every intention to. Picked up Prism a month before the ban announcements. Meta prior to Rosetta went heavy Victor KO a week into Rosetta. We're seeing a lot of Aurora. Tornips I should fall back to Levia. So it's tough, right? Because if you go to Prism, I think you have to go all in on the Heralds, right? You have to go like all in. But if those people pivot back to Victor and KO, it's not going to be a good day. If you're a really good Prism player, it's not the worst thing on the planet, but like, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. If you're decent with Levia, I'd say go with that. I have a few Wolfpack guys in the area. How many pummels should I play in the Vis list for the mirror? 0. That's how many you should play. Absolutely 0. New with the mask, I think, is a trap. The non-blocks kind of hurt, and having low chi and more good assassin game plan is much better. It could be. It very well could be. My local meta is very diverse, and I can't tell you what it looks like, but as decks I have access to is KO and Levia, and Florian and Viserai. I would say KO because it's one of your mains, which obviously you're saying you have more reps into, or more reps with. I would say KO. I would say KO is like a solid choice. I fully expect him to be second most represented deck easily. Playing Max before he gets nuked from orbit with pistol and high octane gets banned. So yeah, it's not looking good for Max. It really isn't. Do you think everyone's gonna hold their post armory Dio list till after ProQuest or Worlds? Absolutely not. Absolutely. I mean, anybody that's actively trying to play it for Worlds, probably. They might, but there will be several lists leaked that weekend, I guarantee you. Your meta is Vis, New, and Verdance. Your decks are Azalea, Kano, and Riptide. I would have to go. Azalea good into Verdance and Vis, but kind of a dog and New, but it's not the worst. I have to go Azalea. Yeah. Retro, I have to go to Azalea. Victor strategy into Rune Blades. Specifically Viserai and Florian. OTK versus not. Go fast against OTK and block well if not. So what you need to do is understand what you're trying to accomplish, right? You can't outrace the Rune Blade. You're not going to be able to do it. I'm letting you know now. And you can't fatigue them because they have OTK capabilities, right? In regards to Florian and Viserai. So it's just a bad matchup. And the best thing that I would recommend is the first couple turns, build your deck in a way via sideboarding and whatnot where you have the flexibility to slow the game down or speed it up. And then based on the first couple plays that the player makes, make your decision, right? If you throw an attack and they block with a red read the runes or something like that, slow the game down. If they are just blocking with attacks and playing read the runes, speed it the fuck up. Like that. That's how I would approach it. At that point, you can't play the deck, right? Because the deck is just better than yours. You have to play your opponent at that point in time if you want the best chance in winning. My meta, lots of Runeblade. Azalea Enigma. You can play Dash Control with CYB or Aggro Dash. I would do Dash Control. But practice the Enigma matchup. Have a plan. I would love to ask questions, but I tend to avoid the larger events. I mean, you know, the man, ProQuest and RTNs are my absolute favorite events. I get to see all the people I haven't seen in a while, locals, people I see a lot. And, you know, it's competitive, but everybody's relaxed, or at least mine are anyway. And I don't know, it's just like my favorite events ever. I highly recommend you go to one just to try it out. Is Prism the best deck for my ProQuest? Did you send anything else? Yeah, you didn't send anything else, so I have no information to go off of to tell you if you can tell me what your meta is, I can tell you if Prism is the best deck for your ProQuest. How well do you think Aurora is into full pistol dash with CYB? If you're not really practiced and you really don't understand the art of setting up an Aurora, you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get absolutely destroyed. But if you understand what's happening and you know how to set up and you have a couple tech options, I think you're in good shape. Well, if non-blocks hurt in new and maybe mask is not great, wouldn't Viserai just straight up be better? It could be. That's actually really good logic. Do you think that Verdance has a lot more questions than answers? Yes, 100%. It feels like her build is kind of clunky between dealing magic and physical. Yeah, I think that she is. Verdance is like, she's just going to do her thing and, like, can you stop her? She doesn't have the toolkit to really combat the opponent. You don't have disruption. You can't fit disruption into, I mean, other than like mind warp and stuff like that. I guess you have plow under and felling, like maybe. But the more you play into the Earth Heroes, the more you can really dilute the effect on those cards. Don't get me wrong, they're really fucking good cards. I have a ProQuest in my area, and I'd like to play the new Dio stuff, but I'm having a tough time flushing out a list. How do you approach this issue? So, what I like to do in situations like this is I would take an established Dio list. I don't know where you can get one. I know Mara has done some work on Dio. I know Evan Herndon is a great Dio player. Thomas Dowling is a good Dio player. So search some of those names on YouTube, see if anything comes up, and find a list, and then just kind of tailor it. Ask yourself, why does that card exist in the list? What is it achieving? And then just kind of tailor it. A lot of times it's super unnecessary to just build from the ground up. And in most cases, it's actually very inefficient. Now, I'm going to tell you that the Dio list is very likely going to look pretty different But you understand the thought process. Like, why are they not playing 9 boom grenades, or why are they playing 9 boom grenades? And what's the opportunity cost of playing 9 versus 6 versus 4? Answer those questions. So I think the biggest thing I can recommend is just where you're starting from. That's the most important thing. Go green. You get pretty close to 50-50 into everything. I mean, Earth is pretty good at going 50-50 into stuff. I'll give you that. Except illusions. Not so much into that. Not so much into that. But also, if you're catching this in the VOD, I know you obviously missed your opportunity uh to ask questions. Feel free to go into the comment section. I can't guarantee you how quickly I'm going to get to it, but I typically check them pretty often. And if you want to ask the same question, just throw it in the comment section. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability, and try to get you the help that I can. Love the streams. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that. Thank you. So since Twitch is kind of, or not Twitch, chat has kind of slowed down a little bit, I think I'm gonna call it here. I think that we've talked about a lot. I really hope that people got sound advice. All of it's not perfect, and don't ever look at anything that I say and take it as it being correct. I always recommend people, anytime somebody tells you something, just the most important thing is to understand their thought process. Because if you understand their thought process, you can tweak it a little bit. You can just, tailor it how you want. And I really hope that I hope I communicate in a way where people understand why I'm making these decisions. And I don't just say, oh, the answer is Azalea. Just play Azalea, right? I'm trying to explain myself in a way, kind of like justify the reasoning and all of that. So it can equip you better, right? That's kind of the idea. Is there a reason that folks seem to be off Florian? It seems like anyone I know was hyped for him and got off of it. It's because of Enigma. Enigma is the answer to that question. He is not good into it. I don't think he really can be. And a lot of people are just getting scared off of him. Simple as that. I appreciate your advice. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you missed your opportunity to ask questions, throw it down in the comment section if you're catching it in the VOD. And good luck to everybody this weekend at their ProQuest. And if you're if you're doing a draft one like I am this weekend, sorry that this wasn't super, super impactful, but yeah, I'll see everybody next week. Take care, everybody. Thank you.